Hey there, Jake. You up for a little field trip?
Stranger Things timeline finally explained, from the 1950s to Season 5. If the story has ever felt confusing, it is because Season 1 is not the beginning. The real beginning is a boy who becomes the final boss, a lab that spends decades building weapons, and one kid who gets marked long before anyone knows what the Upside Down even is. Here is the entire timeline in the order it actually happens. And by the end, you will see why Will was never random, and why 11 was always the target. The US Navy runs a secret test called Project Rainbow. A ship, the USS Eldridge, is pulled into a dark void dimension, later known as the Abyss. Almost everyone dies. One man survives, Captain Brenner, who later becomes Dr. Martin Brenner, the man who builds Hawkins' lab. Late 1940s to 1950s. Henry Creel is born to Victor and Virginia, with a sister named Alice. Around 1958, Henry is involved in an incident in a Nevada cave and is briefly transported to another dimension, exposed to a shadowy influence. When he returns, something changes. His blood changes. His mind changes. Brenner tracks the trail. The Creels move to Hawkins, Indiana. Henry discovers telekinesis and telepathy, but he does not fear it. He enjoys it. He uses it to hurt things in secret, and he grows to hate normal life. Then, the dinner table night. Henry kills his mother and sister, while Victor is forced to watch, trapped in a trance. Henry collapses from overusing his powers. Victor is blamed and locked away, and Henry is taken by Brenner. This is where the real campaign begins. Hawkins' lab has been operating secret experiments since Project MK Ultra was sanctioned in 1953. Brenner labels Henry as Subject 001, implants a device in his neck to suppress his powers, and uses him as the template to create more psychic children. This is the era that produces Kaylee, Subject 008, and eventually 11, born in 1971 and stolen by Brenner. Years later, Henry manipulates 11 into removing the inhibitor from his neck. The second it comes off, 001 massacres the lab. 11 fights back and blasts him into another dimension. That banishment becomes Vecna. Henry survives on the other side, reshapes that world, and turns the drifting particles into the hive mind weapon fans, later called the Mind Flayer. The Upside Down becomes a board, and Vecna becomes the one moving pieces. Now, Season 1, in real time, November 1983. Brenner uses 11 to try to contact a Russian spy, but she touches a Demogorgon instead. A gate opens at Hawkins' lab. 11 escapes. That same night, Will Byers rides home after a Dungeons & Dragons game at Mike's house. The Demogorgon takes him into the Upside Down, and this is the key detail. Will is brought to the Upside Down version of the Hawkins library, where Vecna appears, infects him with Mind Flayer particles, and tells him their plan can finally begin. Will becomes a sleeper agent. Hopper and Joyce enter the Upside Down on November 12th and bring Will back. 11 destroys the Demogorgon. It looks like a win, but the infection stays inside Will. Late October 1984. The gate is not fully closed. Tunnels spread beneath Hawkins. Will starts seeing flashes of the other side, and the particles inside him grow. He is fully possessed after a storm of spores, becomes a spy for the hive mind, and feeds Vecna information. The team forces the Mind Flayer out of Will with heat, burns the tunnel network, and 11 seals the gate. Summer 1985. The Russians build a secret base under Starcourt Mall and crack open a gate on June 28th. That surge reawakens a dormant Mind Flayer fragment left behind in the real world. It possesses rats, melts them into biomass, builds a flesh body, and uses Billy as a host. Its goal is simple: kill 11. On the 4th of July, 11 is wounded and her powers fail. Joyce shuts down the machine. The monster's body dies, and Hopper is captured and taken to a Russian prison camp where they experiment on Demogorgons and Mind Flayer fragments. March 1986. Vecna finally starts harvesting. He targets traumatized teens, pulls them into visions, kills them, and each death opens a small gate between dimensions. Chrissy's death makes Eddie and the Hellfire Club the scapegoat, turning Hawkins into a witch hunt. Max becomes a target, escapes Vecna's mindscape by anchoring herself to music, and the group realizes the truth. The Creel murders and the current killings are the same entity. The Season 4 finale becomes a boss raid. One team attacks Vecna's body. Max becomes bait, so 11 can fight him psychically. Hopper and Joyce attack a hive mind fragment in Russia to weaken him. Vecna is burned and shot, but Max's heart stops. 4 gates rip through Hawkins and converge in town. 11 restarts Max's heart, but Max is left in a coma, her mind trapped. Vecna survives, escapes into the abyss, and the government covers everything up as an earthquake. November 1987. Vecna returns with a new strategy. He appears to children at Hawkins Elementary as an imaginary friend called Mr. Watset, grooming them as vessels. Holly Wheeler is taken, dragged into the Upside Down and deeper into Vecna's mindscape. 12 children are captured in total. Will's connection never fully went away, and now he can channel the hive mind like a sorcerer, but that same link lets Vecna spy back. The final battle is the campaign finale. 11 and Kali enter the void through the sensory deprivation tank to attack Vecna psychically. Will uses the hive mind connection to help them. Another team rigs a bomb near the exotic matter, stabilizing the bridge between dimensions. Joyce ends Vecna with an axe. The children are freed, coughing up particles as they are pulled from cocoons. The bomb goes off, the bridge collapses, and 11 appears to die in the explosion. May 1989. The epilogue is quiet, on purpose. The kids graduate. Dustin honors Eddie with a Hellfire Club shirt. The original party meets in the Wheeler basement for one last Dungeons & Dragons campaign. And Mike shares one final theory. If sonic weapons were active, how was 11 standing so defiantly? He believes Kaylee created an illusion of 11's death, and the real 11 escaped. The last image is a figure walking through wilderness toward 3 waterfalls, the peaceful ending Mike always pictured at the end of his campaigns. That is Stranger Things in order. Brenner opens the door. Henry becomes Vecna. Will is the first marked player, and 11 is the only one who can ever end it. If you are still watching, comment Timeline Party.